Good evening. Today is the 19th day of December 2016, and we are continuing with our explorations in Savitri with our brother Alok. Now let's go. Still in Book 2, the book of the Traveler of the Worlds. Now we are in Canto 6, the kingdoms and godheads of the greater life, on page 175, just at the break. We've gone through quite a bit in this past. When Aswapati leaves this gray area, and then we get into an area of nothing
Dubious,
being
yeah.
realized, very dubious.
It's very interesting. Actually, if we read through the book, this particular canto can be one of the most, not exactly difficult reading, but it's very difficult to get to what is being revealed to us. And this is the sign of Sri Aurobindo's master stroke. Because this is the nature of this world. It is, and you feel that's it, but when you catch it, it is not.
Right.
So if you read through the canto, you get the same impression throughout. And so if we hurriedly try to draw a conclusion, which should never be done in any case with Sri Aurobindo, and especially when people try to compare the worlds as described in different traditions with Sri Aurobindo, I feel there is a cardinal error there. This is a mental exercise, whereas what Sri Aurobindo has done is he has seen, experienced, and revealed as he has seen. So, the beauty of this, the entire writings of Sri Aurobindo, and here we see in Savitri particularly, he doesn't, and when people ask Sri Aurobindo, for instance, that the 5 koshas, how does your system correspond to that, then he was not happy about comparison of different systems, because it's not a system. He has seen, he has experienced, he has revealed.
And those are the 2 points,
Yeah.
he says himself: seeing or experience.
Yes.
And then revealing.
Then revealing. It's not like mental. So it's very good if we keep the mind quiet, then the words, the drift, the overall sense will begin to appear. And this is what we see through this world, particularly this world. It's a world where you feel, you know it, that's it, you understand it, and the next moment you wonder a line or two, and you wonder, what is it? I lost it.
Out of your grasp.
Yeah, I lost it. So this is because this is the nature of this world, and that's why I feel that Sri Aurobindo, when he reveals something, he actually communicates a state of consciousness to us. And that's what we see here. Then dawned a greater seeking, broadened sky, a journey under wings of brooding force. It's a life world, so it's primarily a world of force, of power, of movement. At the same time, this life evolving, or just above it, overhangs the sky of mind. So there is a sense of brooding, of contemplation. And then comes this very interesting word: first came the kingdom of the morning star.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, this word is rather the morning star, set of 2 words. It repeats itself a number of times in Savitri. Out of the paths of the morning star they came. And if you go into the origin of this, it's mentioned in Greek mythology, it's mentioned in the Bible, it's mentioned in different mythologies, and it has strange meanings. At one place, it is said that it is Lucifer, who was an angel and he fell, or he is a fallen being who is posing as an angel. If you look at the story of Lucifer, but Sri Aurobindo speaks of an angel who has fallen.
And in Wagner,
Yeah.
the morning star plays a great
Yes. So morning star comes several places. Otherwise, it's also a term used for Venus.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the common. If you look for Venus is called the morning star.
Yes.
It's again very bright. It can pass off as a star, but it's actually a planet. So, and morning star. So again we see a twilight zone. So it's a very interesting word Sri Aurobindo uses, the kingdom of the morning star. It's a twilight kingdom where day and night, or the night and the day rather, are blending into each other.
Yes.
So that's how
Yes.
the simple sense of the morning star. A twilight beauty trembled under its spear. Now look at this phrase, twilight beauty.
Yeah.
It's like there is a beauty of the night that is passing by and a beauty of the morning that is emerging. So the beings of this world are always drawn to these extremes. They are not totally attracted towards the day or towards the sun. They feel the light, they feel the warmth, but at the same time they also have a passing attraction or a attraction toward the night because they live in this twilight zone. So they are beings of the mid-worlds as they are called. A twilight beauty trembled under its spear and the throb of promise of a wider life. So it's life expanding itself. So there are two kinds of progress, as the mother says. One is a horizontal progress, like at a material level you expand more and more your territory, you have better and better equipment, etc. And there is a horizontal progress. So here we see a vertical progress. So here we see a horizontal progress. Life becomes wider and wider, and that's why it's a realm of cosmic ignorance. There is a cosmic mind, a cosmic vital, and a cosmic at the physical level. And they are still in the realm of ignorance because they are separated, or they dwell in the sense of separation from the origin. There can be no real separation. So they belong to the lower triplicity. Then slowly rose a great and doubting sun.
Doubting.
So we see again, it is there. No, it's not. That actually there is a phase in the morning when you feel the sun is there, but it's not exactly there. So doubting sun. And in the light she made of self a world. It's not yet the full light. It's just the reflection of light, semblance of light, and in that it creates a world, as if it is the full light. So we see that sense. A spirit was there that sought for its own deep self, yet was content with fragments pushed in front, and parts of living that belied the whole, but pieced together might one day be true. Again, it's not certain. So when we are caught in this world, and actually again morning star is a kingdom through which one has to pass. We see when out of the paths of the morning star they came.
Yes.
Then again it comes in the dream twilight of the earthly real, where again the path of the morning star. You have to pass through this kingdom. Some will go fast, some will go slow. And in this kingdom there is a great risk of being caught there. Because you may feel that you have found it. You may feel that you are experiencing the divine. You may feel that you know the truth. You may feel that this is true love. But none of that is true, because it's like a glimmer, some semblance, something that resembles, is akin, alike, but not the real thing. That's why it's a world where if you stay long, you feel despair. And so it's better to pass through it as
soon. And in the last passage, we had the gleam and the glimmer a
number of times. And this will repeat itself throughout.
Yes.
Yet, something seemed to be achieved at last. I got it. There it is. A growing volume of the will to be. So there is a growth. There is as I said, a horizontal progress. The power is growing. The force is growing. The will to be. A text of living and a graph of force, a script of acts, a song of conscious forms, burdened with meanings, fugitive from thought's grasp. I know it, but I know it not. Fugitive from thought's grasp. It's still a world of life. And crowned with undertones of lives, and crowded with undertones of life's rhythmic cry. You will see there the life's cry which wants things in a certain way to pull them towards its own end, could write itself on the hearts of living things. So this world, many of the songs, I don't know how it was in Hollywood, but in the 60s in India, the cinema was as if burdened with this world. It was an ideal world of a built by a kind of sentimentality, and it looked, if you read some of those lines, you'll feel, oh, he must have had a glimpse of the supramental world, but it's not true. It's reflected, and in the realm of the vital. For example, let me say in Hindi this song, and then I'll give the English part. In Hindi there was a song long back in 60s, आ चल के तुझे मैं लेके चलूं एक ऐसे गगन के तले, आंसू भी ना हो और गम भी ना हो जहां प्यार ही प्यार चले. So the poet says कि come, I'll take you to a world which is griefless and sorrowless and without tears. Now what is that world? It's only the divine kingdom where you have it, but you can't create that world by wishful thinking. So what is missing in this world is that tapasya which you need. You get it that yes, it is there, but it's not there.
A script of acts, a song of
yes,
conscious
everything
forms.
is written there.
Everything.
It's complete by itself. In an outbreak of the might of secret spirit in life and matters, answer of delight, there is something from behind which is chasing this world, drawing this world, attracting this world.
Yeah.
Something secret it's trying to find. That's till the end. This refrain will be there. Some face, now we'll see this word some being repeated. Some face of deathless beauty could be caught that gave immortality to a moment's joy. So you see it being celebrated in poems of love, which often, or those romantic tales which end with a tragedy. But while it is there,
It's that moment.
that moment is as if full, complete, immortal, eternal. And yet it ends with tragedy. There are a lot of poets who have written it and it's been celebrated because it looks like this is the only closest we can catch hold of that real thing. So it's celebrated in poetry, celebrated in literature. But there is a greater truth which of course we don't know. But it touches the human heart because it's so fascinating. Immortality to a moment's joy. Some word that could incarnate highest truth. Leaped out from a chance tension of the soul. Some hue of the absolute could fall on life. Some glory of knowledge and intuitive sight. Some passion of the rapturous heart of love. So you feel touches, hints, glimpses, glimmers, gleams, but not the real thing. This is because it's reflected in the cosmic life. Similarly, we see in the mind realm, in the cosmic mind, there are reflections, and many people mistake the reflection for the truth. Even in the realm of the mind, just to draw an analogy, for instance, when Sri Aurobindo was asked about some mystic who used to speak about silent mind and making the mind silent, etc., and the self emerging there, Sri Aurobindo made a very interesting observation. Yes, he had an experience of the self in the mind. It's not the experience of the self in its home of truth.
In the mind.
In the mind. It's reflected in the mind. It gives a quietude to the mind. And many people use this analogy that if the lake is quiet, you will see the self reflected there. Yes, reflection is a reflection. In a still lake, when you see the moon, it's almost like the moon. There it is, so close, so near. I can touch it. Maybe I can walk on it and sail on it. But moon is moon. Moon is a huge distance. So here it is in the cosmic vital that we get the reflection of these truths.
3 lines starting with the word some.
Yes. And there is a fourth one which was on the previous page.
Yes, on the previous page.
5 lines.
5 lines.
Some. And then come 2 lines which are very interesting. a hierophant of the bodiless secrecy. It interprets, it gives as if, when you talk about divine love. So it will say, yes, I know. Hierophant. It interprets. It's a priest of that love. But look at it. Interned in an unseen spiritual sheath. Now, interned is also something which is captive, which is like imprisoned. So it is imprisoned, it has given me the impression of a, experience I had some time back of being within a glass house. And I'm trying to break through because I can see things, but I can't get them. So it's a very frustrating thing. You see it, but the moment you try to catch, there is a wall. And you try it on all sides. But you can't because you are a prisoner in something. And then of course it broke, but that was a grace. But that was a different story. But it's very frustrating because you see something and you feel it's there. You can reach out, but you can't reach out. So it's that impression. I was reminded of this impression. Interned in an unseen spiritual sheath, the will that pushes sense beyond its scope to feel the light and joy intangible, half found its way into the ineffable's peace, half captured a sealed sweetness of desire that yearned from a bosom of mysterious bliss, half manifested veiled reality. Everything is
Again, partial.
half. Something is missing and something is there. And that's why it's so easy to mistake. Mother says that there are beings, dazzling beings in the vital world who can be mistaken for the divine. And she says many religions have been born from that. They have mistaken the dazzling beings of the vital world for the divine. And Sri Aurobindo says it's the plane of strong Daityas as well as the gods. Both you will find here. So, because, that is the nature of this. Anything which is great with force in it will find its habitation there. A soul not wrapped into its cloak of mind could glimpse the true sense of a world of forms, because the mind is not yet come. It's still, illumined by a vision in the thought, upbuoyed by the heart's understanding flame. It could hold in the conscious ether of the spirit the divinity of a symbol universe. This is the beauty, the beauty of this world. This is what the Mother and Sri Aurobindo speak of as the vital intuition. So there are intuition which expresses itself at different layers. There is an intuition in the realm of intuition, which is spiritual and, closest to the divine truth. Then there is intuition which comes into the mind and takes a rational route, but it's an intuition. Then there is an intuition in the vital. And it's like, people who are drawn by affinity or repulsed by it. It's like an intuition. It is an intuition, but in the realm of the vital. So it's unburdened by the mind and there is a spontaneous knowledge within it. And that is being described here.
But still it's a symbol universe.
It's a symbol universe. And yes, this realm has time to time descended upon earth. This realm inspires us with our vaster hopes. When beings or forces of this world take a body, they are like, large appetites. Alexander the Great. Who could have dreamt that I want to conquer the world? And at a young age, people called him mad. And yet this man, drives all the way from Greece up to India. At the same time, we see in his life, again, this, whether we call it a contradiction, paradox. The world, the conqueror, who wants to become a world emperor, driven by a tremendous vital, yet bows down before a yogi who is naked and living with scanty. And eventually he took that yogi all the way to Greece. But this is something I don't know, but he's attracted to him. He's attracted towards this truth. And there are beings like that. If you see the history of the earth, some of those who have really done something, achieved something, they have been driven by this world. They've embodied this world. And after they have gone, people have wondered that, who was this being? How could he think? How could he imagine? So, yes, its forces have made landings on our globe. How beautiful. I find some of these beings in the Mahabharata war as denizens of this world. They were tremendous. Can you imagine a Bhishma? He's a Vasu, of course. Though they will describe Vasus as part of the elemental, they extend the 5 elements into 8. But my personal impression is he's a being of the mid-world, because Ganga's son, now Ganga is purified vital. In fact, all rivers symbolize the vital. So, born of that purified vital energy, he is a being of the mid-world, but from a very high region. And that's why you see the ambiguity in his life. You wonder which side is he. It's hard to place him. But what a tremendous power. I mean, I think he's unparalleled. Even in Mahabharata war, he was unparalleled. Nobody could fight him. He had to find a way to his own death. And so these beings did precipitate themselves during that time. If you look at some of these beings, same in Trojan War, some of these beings, those who fought during that ancient Greek war, it's unimaginable. What kind of people were there? 9 years they were toiling on the sea, camping there, anybody would get disheartened. Achilles, when you read the description of Achilles, turning the river Styx into river of blood, going all alone with sword and helmet and literally tearing through the ranks. They are not ordinary beings, but they were also not divine beings.
But the dark ones also, like Genghis Khan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Same. So you see these beings, so they have time to time touch. But what they have done is, in the process, there is something they have done. The good they have done is that they have suddenly lifted life out of the ordinary. So, vaster hopes. They have filled life with ambition. Otherwise, with the little life, it's a contentment of, food and shelter. But this world inspires our vaster hopes. It's possible. So, ambitions and other things, desires which go beyond the realm of human imagination. Its signs have traced their pattern in our lives. It lends a sovereign movement to our fate. Its errant waves motive our life's high surge. Even when they crashed, they left an imprint. Much later in this Canto, Sri Aurobindo said, whether they are good or bad, whether they succeed or fail, something they have achieved, something they have done.
Yes.
These beings are like that. They leave a stamp upon the earthly life. And that is where it counts. It is like if you take little life is like a ploughman who gently ploughs the soil. So it is necessary. But greater life is like a dropping of a shell which comes, strikes the earth, builds a crater and goes away. So it also needs the earth. And later you wonder that how could this be? So it has its own place. You see some of these ancient temples and how they have been built with huge blocks of stone, and how, people have designed it or built it.
And the pyramids.
Pyramids, absolutely. All that we seek for is prefigured there. This is the big challenge. It creates it instantly. You see, you watch a movie. So in movie, and that's the big problem, it's much like a film. So when you see a cinema, you are very inspired. That's how it is. You see whether it's an act of love, of heroism, of courage, it touches you. Try it in real life. It's a tremendous tapasya needed. So it is prefigured there. But it inspires us. All that we seek for is prefigured there, and all we have not known nor ever sought which yet one day must be born in human hearts, that the timeless may fulfill itself in things. So it nurtures that hunger in the heart. And through illusions, it makes us grow towards reality. Otherwise, reality is too far for human hearts. Mother says, if the divine love were to manifest, you won't even recognize it. You will think it is cold and grand and austere. You won't feel it. So you have these illusions. If divine courage were to manifest, it would be so calm, so full of peace, that you won't recognize it as courage. And so you need something more tangible, something more visible. And that's why, these worlds bring that to a life. Incarnate in the mystery of the days, eternal in an unclosed infinite, a mounting endless possibility climbs high upon a topless ladder of dream, forever in the being's conscious trance. Built in the trance of the being, it mounts up and up and up towards an endless height. But it never really reaches the top. That's a different story.
Conscious, but a conscious trance.
Yes, trance. And the dream. It's still the dream world, not the world of the superconscient light. So, all on that ladder mounts to an unseen end. It never really finds it. But it keeps on climbing. There's no limit to where it can go. An energy of perpetual transience makes the journey from which no return is sure. You go to a point and you're caught. You don't want to. And that's one of the big problems with beings who get caught, or the souls that get caught in this region. Because you experience so much. And then to really come back and be the ordinary person that you are in that part of your consciousness, and progress from there is very difficult. And that's why beings who are caught in it and start their own empire, spiritual empires, I very often tell people, they are so much moved. They watch something on YouTube and they say, there are people I have read who say that we are carrying on the supramental legacy of Sri Aurobindo further. They even name themselves, fantastic names.
Yeah.
He has brought the Shakti, now we are the ones who are playing with the Shakti. And such obvious ego, but somehow they are blind to it. They get so much adulation and the influence is so much that you tell them, look, why don't you spend a few days in Sri Aurobindo ashram? Then you will touch ground level base.
And Ken Wilber writes to the ashram saying, I've copyrighted integral yoga, so please don't use that term.
Yes. Some of them even when human folly can go to what level? People copied Sri Aurobindo sometimes verbatim. So in evening talks, one of the disciples says, the book of X has become very well known and he has become very famous. But I was appalled to see that there are so many passages bodily lifted from you. So Sri Aurobindo says, better don't tell him, otherwise he will say, I have copied him. Only Sri Aurobindo could have this remarkable humor. If you tell him, he will say, I have copied him. So that's why I tell all such people, they should have a 1 week course in just living in Sri Aurobindo ashram, possibly working in dining room. They will stand in the queue and touch base. This is reality. You are whoever you may be. You may be a big guru outside. Please come in the queue. Come with everybody else. It's a great leveler and I like it. Yes. One thing that the ashram definitely does in the very beginning is it puts your ego in its place.
Yes.
You just can't escape this initial training, and this is indispensable. Otherwise, you can get into mystic experiences and say, I am seeing Vishnu, I am seeing this God. Oh, why? I have become this God. And next is, I am the God. And, so So, and people who couldn't bear it went away. There were people who lost their head here,
Yes, many.
and they couldn't take it, because it's a great leveler. It's built. It's a formation of the mother. Mother has said it has been built in this way that everything in the ashram works ultimately towards stripping you of all the disguises and bring out the truth, if there is truth. So whatever is inside will come out. So, but this is how these beings are. Anyways, the pilgrimage of nature to the unknown. As if in her ascent to her lost source, she hoped to unroll all that could ever be. Her high procession moves from stage to stage. You see, remember Ken Wilber's stages? So he bodily copied almost much of it from Sri Aurobindo. And then very remarkable thing he did. So he gave a stage to everything. At the end of it, he put Supermind at stage something 3 and himself on stage 5. And he said, I have gone past it. I am on stage 5. And at the end of the day, what happened? Look at it. It's a sad story. The man had a promise. And going into depression, and now he is not respected by, the very people whom he inspired. It's a very sad thing to see.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the man had a brilliance. Could have, So this is the unfortunate part. Her high procession. It's not, going alone. Procession, look at it, moves from stage to stage. A progress leap from sight to greater sight. A process march from form to ampler form. A caravan of the inexhaustible. Formations of a boundless thought and force. Formations.
But vast.
Vast, large, tremendous power in this world. Tremendous power. So it's, her timeless power that lay once on the lap of a beginningless and endless calm. Look, this is the sign that there is power, there is joy, but the peace is missing. Whereas all authentic power, it doesn't need show and sham and ostentatiousness. Here there is a procession. Everything. But look now, the sign will come. Her timeless power that lay once on the lap. Her is here the power of life, from where it has come. Life's origin is in the divine. Of a beginningless and endless calm, now severed from the spirit's immortal bliss, erects the type of all the joys she has lost. So she imitates, mimics, because somewhere it feels some reflection, some touch, and it wants to recreate here all that it has lost. But it's severed from that. 2, she hopes, compelling transient substance into shape. She hopes by the creative act's release to overleap sometimes the gulf she cannot fill. That gulf can be filled by tapasya, by surrender. But it creates by creative act, and it cannot leap the gulf. So it tries to overleap it by recreating something here. It's like there is a story of Vishwamitra, and it's a very interesting story that, Trishanku is the king in the lineage of King Rama, but much earlier. I think it's the lineage of King Rama. So he wants to ascend to heaven bodily. Now you see, it's a very interesting story, because to go to heaven bodily, it's about transformation. So he wants to go to heaven bodily. And he seeks a way. So Vishwamitra says, I will do it for you. No, none of the rishis accepts. He says it's impossible. Why? Because mortal substance is not pure enough. It cannot go to heaven. But Vishwamitra says, I have a lot of power. I'll do it for you. This is before Vishwamitra becomes the highest seer, one of the great seers. He is a typical seer who passes through the intermediate world several times, but eventually he crosses it. So with all his tapasya, he makes him ascend and reach up to the gates of heaven. And as soon as he goes there, he is kicked out. Because they say we can smell the mortal flesh. Go back. So he is down back into the. Then again he lifts him, and again he is gone. So he jumps between heaven and earth. Shobindra has written a poem on Trishanku, and he has named it the Triumph Song of Trishanku, because he refuses. He refuses to give up. So when he refuses to give up and Vishwamitra refuses to give up, what Vishwamitra does? He says, okay, you are not allowed admittance in heaven, but I will create a heaven in which you can be the ruler. So there are annexes which are like created by the human power of human mind. Mother speaks of that. There are hells also imagined by the human mind, and one can actually enter there and get caught and believe it to be real, a punishment given to someone. And Mother said one such person who was living in such a hell, it took me 1 year to convince him that there is no such hell. You are simply suffering from guilt, come out of it. But he said, no, I am being punished for my sins. And this is after death. She says, there is no such thing. You come out. But he would, no, I have to be punished. So he has, and there are such hells which exist where the soul feels tormented, but it's not real. Similarly, there are heavens which are annexes, where they are creations of human mind and the power of the human life heavens. And you go there and you feel, I am the king. But it's not really the real state. So you hang in between. This word is now used even for wherever anything hangs in between. It's called as Trishanku. In India, they call it Trishanku Parliament. When the parliament doesn't have an absolute majority. So, okay. To overleap sometimes the gulf she cannot fill, to heal awhile the wound of severance. What is that wound of severance? Severance from delight, from oneness. So it feels the pang, and at the end, this pang is voiced in such pathos which is there in this world. That one day surely he shall descend to her cry, toward the end. There is a pathos in this world, toward the end. If one lives here, one ends up with a state of pathos. So, there is a wound of severance which leads to deep pain. And it tries to heal it by creating, by imitating, by kind of a look-alike. Escape from the moment's prison of littleness. And meet the eternal's wide sublimities in the uncertain time field portioned here. You can't meet like this, but it tries to capture something of that and meet it here. Almost she nears what never can be attained. Of course, this never is referring to this station of consciousness. If you are here, you don't attain it. But almost. I must tell you, very frankly, there are books written like that. The other day, and sometimes I wonder what's happened to the discrimination of people, They would say, oh, so-and-so says the same thing, be in the present, and you will find the self. I said, it's very good to read, try it. It's very nice reading. All of us know it. The animals live in the present. This is the example I give them, that they are not worried about the future, and they are not burdened by the past cares. So they're not living in the self, what is meant by self-realization. Then Raman Maharshi was foolish to sit for 17 years in a tapasya. And Sri Aurobindo, who with, it's not something like a cakewalk. But they'll make some formulas which will look very nice. They have an instant appeal on the heart. Here it is. It's easy to read, but difficult to. And then you get some experience and you say, yes, I know it. And there is no way you can convince, because you have not had the authentic experience, which is truly mind-blowing and life-shattering. So here it is. Almost she nears what never can be attained. What can never be attained? She shuts eternity into an hour. So whenever people say forever and never, know that these words are coming from that realm of life. Forever. True love. Mother says only when you live in the consciousness of truth can you love truly. How can you love without this being is made of falsehood? How can there be? So one should know what is what and then keep ascending towards that. And fills a little soul with the infinite. The immobile leans to the magic of her call. All these are, subtle humor and irony. The immobile. By its nature, it is immobile, but leans to the magic of her call. She stands on a shore in the illimitable. You see, all these paradoxes.
Yeah.
Perceives the formless dweller in all forms and feels around her infinity's embrace. So this is and it's a long world, almost running into 20 odd pages. So we'll stop here and continue. It's very nice. It's an amazing world. Good to know about it, but dangerous if one gets stuck here.
Yes.
And Shobindo says everyone passes through it at some point or the other. The route towards the eternal.